This week, we're going to be talking about 3 key signs that you should go back to basics in your dog training. Whether that means going back to basic obedience cues and reproofing them in certain environments, or even taking a break or learning how to minimize stress in your training sessions. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Blythe, and I am the founder and head trainer at Delta Tails. So recently I've been noticing a trend with my private lesson clients and also my academy students. And this trend is that either the student has moved on too quickly with certain cues and now all of a sudden it seems like the dog doesn't know what those cues mean, or maybe isn't motivated to behave the way that their owner would like. Or I also see this in a little bit of burnout, either in the dog or in the handler. And this can create a lot of stress for both parties, especially if they're starting to be not interested in training anymore. So I wanted to make this video to help you decide when to take a step back and focus on some easier, more foundation behaviors, or take a break altogether. The first key sign that I've been noticing for a need to go back to basics is that your dog takes more than one cue to perform the desired behavior. So that could mean if you are in a park, all of a sudden your dog takes 3 sit cues before they sit, and that can be really frustrating for both the dog and the owner because clearly there are some conflicting motivations with the dog and the owner is not getting what they want either. That is a sign that either your behavior is not proofed correctly, so your dog doesn't completely understand what you're asking for, or the environment that you're training in is just too hard. So any time that you need to use more than one cue with your dog to get them to perform the desired behavior, I would suggest going back to basics, starting from ground zero, and working through some distractions in a distraction-free environment. So where you can control the distractions, for example, in a guest room, in your living room, those sorts of things where you can add in the distraction yourself and control it so that you can really work on proofing that cue reliably. The second sign that I have been noticing are training regressions. So for example, if your dog has a really great heel and then all of a sudden they are pulling on the leash all the time, or if your dog had a great stay but over time they're starting to break in the middle of their stay. First of all, you want to make sure that you have a veterinary check with any sort of change in behavior like that, especially if it's really sudden. That could be some sort of pain or medical condition, so you want to rule that out first. Once the medical conditions are ruled out and you know that it's actually a training or behavioral issue, you'll have to break it down even further. If your dog once had a really great heel and had say a traumatic incident with another dog attacking them, and then all of a sudden when you are around other dogs, your dog's heel isn't very good, that's a sign that it's more of a behavioral problem and you need to work on counter conditioning and desensitizing to those other dogs. If nothing like that has happened, you might have just moved too fast. And even if it is behavioral, I still would suggest going back to the basic foundational skills of socialization. So making sure that every experience is positive, teaching neutrality to other dogs or people, and those sorts of things. So the last sign is that your dog is uninterested in training. The flip side to that is that you are not interested in training anymore. Typically, this is a sign that the training is too stressful for one or the other party. This isn't usually a foundation behavior problem. This is usually something to do with stress or behavioral concerns, or even just too much pressure on one or the other side. Just like humans, dogs need vacations too, and I think a lot of us have a frame of mind where we are supposed to train every day because we see other people doing that. And the truth is, just like our jobs, dogs need vacation and rest time in order to perform at a decent level when you do go out and train. But incorporating consistent rest times can really help boost that interest. So if you find yourself not interested in training your dog, or if you find your dog is leaving the training session to sniff everything, leaving the training session to go lay down in their bed, just generally not being interested in training, that's also a sign that you should go back to basics. So if you have all of these signs, what should you do? I always like to use the time to refresh all of the basic obedience cues. So things like sit, down, stand, stays and waits, recall, heel, loose leash walking, those general behaviors that are pertinent for having a well-behaved dog in society. The other thing is sometimes you might need to take just a couple weeks off of training altogether. Once you come back after the break, you can then start in on the back to basics. Once you are working on those cues again, you want to be really particular about when you are rewarding and also giving really high rewards. So say your dog was struggling with sitting on one cue. So before, you would have to say sit 3 times before your dog sat. During your training session, if you say sit once and your dog sits, that's really, really good. So you want to give them a higher level treat. And the other thing I really like to do when I'm going back to basics or feeling like I'm kind of in a rut or stuck with training is to take a new class. And the best part is that for this holiday season, we are actually starting a basic obedience deep dive course. And these are really cool. They're all online, so anybody can join them. They're decently priced, so you're well able to afford them since they're group classes. We will be having weekly lessons with tutorials for all of the basic obedience cues. So that's sit, down, stand, wait for the food bowl, stay, recall and leash up, loose leash walking, wait at the door, go to place in your crate, and also tuck under the table while you're eating. So those behaviors will be covered in the class, and once per week we are going to have a group coaching session through Zoom, so it'll be right in your living room, and we'll all go through some practice scenarios so that we can start to proof all of those behaviors. So if you would like to take this class, go ahead and sign up now. It's down below. And if not, I will see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a video, and I can't wait to see you then. Bye!